So, welcome everyone. I really hope that this bottle was for me, actually, but yeah, maybe next time. When I was wandering around the booths today, very often when I was approaching people and talking with people, maybe some of you, AI was always coming at some point in the discussion. I think everything is in AI. And actually, I decided to also use it for the beginning of this keynote. And you probably wonder what was the quote when I was putting those pictures out. And the quote was, "Factory logistics automation, it is a journey." And I don't know what are the feelings that you have while looking at it. It might be a little bit of mystery, a little bit of anxiety, maybe, because it is a journey. It has some challenges. For sure, a lot of excitement. The excitement that I have also today to be able to present to you our Beiersdorf journey towards Factory of the Future and our experiences with logistics automation. My name, as said, is Filip Odwazny. I'm having more than 10 years of experience in Beiersdorf, and I will be happy to spend with you some more minutes today. As Inken said, your questions are welcome. Hopefully, I will manage within 25 minutes to leave some time in the end for those questions. Before I delve into details of the journey that we are having, a little bit about Beiersdorf, because maybe some of you are not familiar with the company. So Beiersdorf is a DAX-listed company with more than 170 affiliates overall present all over the world, with more than 22,000 of employees and 9.5 billion of group sales. And still, Beiersdorf might not tell you a lot about the company, but I'm 100% sure you know our brands. Because we are everywhere at your homes, most likely with our amazing Nivea brand, but also Eucerin and many other brands. But back to the main topic of today's presentation, the journey towards automation and logistics automation. Beiersdorf, as I said, is present in all continents, but with logistics automation, at least now, we are focusing mainly in Europe. And what we've learned, actually, in last months or years is that only 20% of our factory logistics processes in Europe are automated. So just as a spoiler for the whole presentation, we are on the beginning of the journey. However, there is no journey with the target of the journey, right? We need to have an aim or a goal where we are heading to. And this is the factory of the future. So it's not only a nice comic cartoon picture, but what really stands behind this vision is 29 initiatives divided into 7 categories, and one of it is automizing logistics movements with automated handling. This is exactly where we are fitting, or the department where I'm working is fitting. Our journey with transformation towards Factory of the Future has started years ago. I mean, we were starting with building factories more than 100 years ago with our factory in Hamburg. The picture there is one from Indonesia in Malang. But some of our factories are pretty old. We are heading towards Factory of the Future, and many things are happening in parallel, right? So overall, as Beiersdorf, that's a good thing. We are constantly growing. So the volumes that we are producing are increasing. Unfortunately, as all of you and all of us, we are facing some supply chain disruptions, labor shortages. We have very ambitious net zero targets. So all of those factors are definitely affecting the journey. There are also good things that are happening. As an example, more and more affordable automation, also outside of the European Union. These all lead to major factory investments. And as you might expect, there is one step in between old factories and the Factory of the Future, which is our factory in Leipzig. The one that you will see a short video in a minute, which is definitely a huge step in Beiersdorf towards Factory of the Future. Before I go into the video, I just wanted to also highlight one thing or one lessons learned that Beiersdorf had taken in last months, and that's the importance of factory logistics in the transformation. So logistics projects are no longer just buying a bit of steel, putting it into the warehouse, and hoping that manual operators will manage around, right? We are touching complex IT systems. We are changing the processes. We are implementing lean processes. So the difficulties coming from those challenges are very present, but are inevitable to change towards factory of the future. And also, while having a lot of old factories, the factories that were not designed to be the factory of the future, they were not designed to have automation in-house, this transformation on how to get there is very important for factory logistics, and factory logistics is enabling this. But okay, now I have one short break in my presentation, and I invite you to Leipzig for a minute.
Check at this time, all systems verify ready, count and go for launch. OTC, all clear to go. TBC, go. TTC, iOS services go. LPS is go. Instant flight is go. Pilot, go. STM go. Safety go. Safety go. SB, go. VDI. The launch team is ready to proceed.
Yep, so really nice summary. And you have seen a lot of numbers behind, and you know those nice buzzwords, modularity, flexibility, agility that is built into the factory, bringing us a little bit more closer to the factory of the future. One thing which was not mentioned in the video, but is also the fact, is that this factory is supposed to have an end-to-end factory logistics automation. The small start behind means that actually loading and unloading of trucks is out of scope. It's not yet on our radar, but what I'm hearing here or there is that the progress is also in this part significant. So I guess sooner or later this will be also in the scope. So. Some success stories of logistics automation in Beiersdorf so far I wanted to share to give you also a flavor of the complexity that we are handling. Might be that you are familiar with much bigger complexity, but just to bring you on the journey with me. One of the success stories definitely is the Leipzig factory, where we are already having a fully automated high bay warehouse, where VNA vehicles, AGVs, from Kion Group are working, moving every hour around 120 transports, and all of that under live analytics, which is extremely important for Beiersdorf, and I will say about it a bit more later. Another success story, now a little bit warmer country, in Madrid, Spain, totally different project, so material replenishment, delivery of pallets, from the floor racks, basically on demand to the line whenever they are needed, together with SAP connection, stacker AGVs in use here, working with 60 transports per hour, and also under the umbrella of live analytics. And lastly, also still Madrid, Spain, but different area, different department, automating of double stacking, conveying, wrapping, and outbound staging, which brings all together a really nice use case. So basically, from the outbound area, or from the line, to the line, from the line, until the outbound area, everything automated here. 3 AGVs, also from Kion Group, working to move those double stacks in front of docks. Everything, again, under the live analytics system. And yeah, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither automation is. And I think most of the presentations on the conferences are looking like this. So very clean, very tidy, and we are sharing all the successes and how great it is and how easy it is because, we're doing it every day. But basically what happens behind the scenes is actually, again, those supply chain disruptions, learning curve, because Beiersdorf is learning the automation. We are not definitely specialists there. We are facing a lot of project delays caused by those disruptions and many other factors. We are having different IT challenges, lack of standardization, which would help us with delivering better projects. And we are not yet there to claim that we are vertically starting up our automation. So basically, behind the picture that you see on the left, actually, we have the back doors of every project, right? And today, I would like to give you a little bit more insights on how we are doing it and how this backbone of logistics automation look like, with some hopes that you'll also bring some learnings and good conclusions to me, because obviously I would like to learn a lot from you guys. So, 2 or 3 slides that are very obvious on why we are doing automation at all. I think I don't need to persuade anyone here in the room, but just to be formally fine with this part. So, as I mentioned before, Beiersdorf is growing, our volumes are growing, but unfortunately, the walls in the factories are not moving with the volume growth, right? And this brings a lot of challenges. So from one side, we are having safety issues, right? Because more volumes we are managing, more pallets, more people inside, but still the area is the same. From the other side, there are many labor challenges as well on the market. So from safety point of view, we have analyzed that up to 20% of incidents, thankfully not accidents, but incidents in Europe in the last 4 years could have been avoided thanks to logistics automation. And obviously, you are more experts than I am, but it can be achievable through technology and also through all the prerequisites that you need to implement the automation. So flow separation, predictability of movements, and so on and so forth. The other part, maybe even more important, is the current labor economic trends. So from one hand side, we are having a stable growth of our income, or maybe not stable, because in the last years it's actually rocketing up. And on the other hand side, the unemployment level is going down, especially in the big cities where we are present with our factories, like Hamburg, like Leipzig, or Poznań in Poland, where unemployment is below 1%. So basically, who wants to be unemployed is unemployed, and try to find a VNA operator with certification to run your warehouse. Almost impossible. So obviously, automation can help to avoid the risk of shortages and help us run our factories. So okay, we know why we are doing it, but now a little bit on how we are doing it. We started last year with doing a bit of benchmarking across our factories, and that's basically the groundwork. Not really connected with automation itself, but overall end-to-end factory logistics and what's happening in our factories. The overcapping target for all those activities is to have an automation roadmap. Obviously, in the end, there is a picture of factory of the future, but we want to have a journey for each of our factories on step-by-step which processes we are automating. And this small house that you're very well expecting is built on some pillars. So first of all, we had to define the maturity of different processes in the factories. So we know, for example, that inbounding is on level 0 from our maturity matrix, and our ambition is to be on level 2 in 5 years, as an example. I will tell a few more words about that later. Secondly, each of the levels that we have defined in our matrix have some prerequisites. I mean, people, when thinking about logistics automation, don't really understand the complexity that stands behind. What do I need to implement automation? What do I need to integrate a material flow controller with SAP or with our MES system? So this we have listed, categorized, and listed. Secondly, we did technology scouting. So we know, thankfully or hopefully very well, what you are offering as our partners are offering, but overall what is the market offering. And we can nicely adjust technologies to different use cases. Fighting for a project actually is also in our hands. So when I see an opportunity, I need to find for the budget. Obviously, the financial factors are one of the key aspects of that, but we are having a lot of different qualitative benefits that we need to also showcase. And this matrix or this pillar is helping us with connecting different automation levels, technologies, and benefits. And lastly, super important, when you implement automation, don't forget that you need to run the automation. And here, I think the industry is really lacking behind. We are not having enough KPIs to manage the automation after the implementation. Again, a few more words in the end when talking about challenges. So, okay, we have the structure, we have those pillars. Now the second step is to assess the potential. And this was this middle column that was in the house. So we are distinguishing different processes. Here, actually, you have loading, inbound to warehouse, picking, storing, production, replenishment of materials, truck loading, and so on. And we are building, firstly, benchmarks across our factories, and secondly, what is our ambition? And then, when having the ambition, having the projects that are standing behind this ambition, we can easily quantify what is the low-hanging fruit and what is actually the ambitious project that we could keep for later in 2, 3, 5 years, or maybe just waiting for industry to pick up the technology because yet it's not ready. Thirdly, standardize. So Beiersdorf, because it's a huge fan of standardization, and with automation, actually, we are super in the beginning of the journey, right? So we don't have much, but we have something, and I want to share with you what do we have. So we have this technology scouting. So not only it's a nice menu of different technologies from different suppliers and our partners that have also some insights on dimensioning and so on, but it's also a small map that is showing, okay, which radiuses and which dimensions do I need to implement some kind of particular technology. We have a lot of standards behind safety and which safety requirements the suppliers need to follow. We are having also some procedural standards like URS, standard URS for different technology. We are having also FAT and SAT protocols to run smoothly through the process of automation. The next is KPIs, and here you can see an overview of one of the boards that we are tracking on a daily basis, actually in Leipzig with our warehouse, where we are tracking job times, double plays, and you name it. Super important to track the efficiency of the equipment and to really do this continuous improvement, which not always everyone is willing to do, because sometimes you're saying, okay, I mean, I was contractually binded to deliver you 100 pallets per hour, and now deal with it, do whatever you want, or pay us a lot of money to improve, right? We want to do it. We want to track the performance and efficiency of our fleet, and then push it forward, push it more to the limits. And then lastly, not only the content part, but also the process part, so how we are doing projects. Nicely defined with gates where we know, or our stakeholders can know when they can expect us to come. So the timer says that I need to keep up, and I have only 2 slides to go, and then we can jump to Q&A. As a summary, the journey that we are on with logistics automation, so the transformation, can be defined with 5 elements. Firstly, standardization within those pillars. So actually, we are following the journey or the steps that I have shown you on this nice small house. Secondly, following the standardization, not only from engineering point of view, so the process that I have shown you, but also from VSU point of view, which is a vertical startup. Because our target is to purchase the automation projects and then have them running exactly on time, just like we have committed to our stakeholders. Thirdly, clear one direction for all. This is ongoing, right? As I said, we have not yet done all the roadmaps for all of our factories, but that's actually what's on our radar for this and next quarter, that we know exactly which projects we are having in each of the factory. Fostering core design as one team. Obviously, it's not me that is doing all of that, but it's a huge team behind. And all of that to underline the inevitability of logistics and or integrity in this transformation journey. And the last slide, really, with the challenges, because it might help you also as suppliers on where we are looking for support or where we have our ambitions, where we are working with our partners. First one is data analytics. So I still think we are here a little bit behind. Our ambition is to have clear OEE of our systems, where not really the standards with FEM, which are very often used by an industry, are helpful. Obviously, this is only possible with building strong partnerships, which we are having already with Kion Group, but we are also happy to bring others on the journey. Thirdly, I think one of the biggest challenges that we are having is the IT architecture. So how to match material flow controller with SAP, with MES, and all the other systems together. We want to follow our methodology, which we are still working on and developing, so that's one of the challenges. And after all, we would like to still transform our factory logistics to change this 20% in Europe to the target is still to be defined, and also go around the whole world to other continents. And this being said, I would like to thank you for the attention, and yeah. We still have like 3 minutes for some questions.
Thank you very much, Filip. What business does Beiersdorf do in Antarctica?
Sorry?
What business does Beiersdorf do in Antarctica?
Yeah, in Antarctica, we're just enjoying our time after success logistics automation projects. Okay, not all continents. You got me.
All right. What was the biggest challenge in implementing the automation?
I think the biggest challenge is the logic behind. I mean, if you're moving pallets from A to B, it's kind of easy, right? It's not bringing a lot of complexity. A lot of suppliers can do it. But the challenge starts where you are connecting SAP system with our MES system. You want to have a reactive system. Maybe even working with different suppliers. I know there are some ambitious targets with VDM 50/50, but I think this IT setup, that everything is harmonized and the pallet arrives exactly on time when it's needed, and ideally without a person that needs to click or order, but everything happens automatically, I think this is the biggest challenge, and we are not yet there to find our core standard on how we want it to look like, even though we have some good ideas, I think.
What expectations were not met with your automation?
Sorry, once more.
What expectations were not met with your automation?
Okay, yeah, I think we usually set very ambitious targets towards our projects. And I think obviously the biggest one is towards the throughput. That's the main target, right? And not always with a vertical startup, which means you push the start button, and not always we were reaching this performance. So I think that's the biggest challenge, because there is a learning curve on those logistics automations projects that not always we are foreseeing. So I think this one is one. And then second is to really use our good practices from other projects, other engineering projects that we are doing with tracking of the KPIs and parameters, and use it with logistics automation. We are not yet there. This is this OEE part that I have been mentioning, which I hope will implement with Kion next quarter.
What software components are used in the plant in Leipzig?
Software so we are using SAP as our ERP, but to manage the automation, it's Etric from Kion Group.
Okay, there is 1 short minute left. You mentioned a lot of challenges in your speech. If you had to choose one in particular, what is the biggest challenge that keeps you busy?
Yeah, I think it's the one, again, I will just paraphrase what I've already said. So I think the part with software integration is the biggest challenge nowadays, especially to have a good connection between SAP and also our working environment and processes in the production part. I think that's the biggest challenge, yeah. We are working to find a good solution for that.
All right. Thank you very much for the inspiring talk. If you have any questions afterwards, feel free to approach Filip. I hope you will be there in a little while. Okay, well then, thank you very much. That's your applause.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for the attention.